he's maybe putting things just doing, up the guy just isn't good enough, and just isn't very skillful. But the thing is, it's Cassini and the coaches will always have the benefit of being up at Auchenhowie working with these guys,
watching them,
day in, day out. They're about them. They're about the environment. They see them playing. They'll know how their attitude is, whether it's on or off, and that is where a lot of the calls will get made, as far as somebody starting a game or not, and again, it's get back to Penny. I mean, we just don't know. I mean, is this guy? Probably no. I'm just going to talk like crap. Is this guy blazing a trail for Auchenhowie Monday to Friday? The answer to that's no. He probably isn't. But it's, they must see something with some of the players, that we obviously don't. But again, they're always going to have the benefit of working away with them up there, day in, day out, and talking to them, being on about them, so.
Well, if there's one thing I've learned in supporting Rangers for 35 years is that there's this rule, I call it the law of Templeton, which is the longer a guy is out of the team, a better player he becomes in the eyes of the fans. And it's based on desperation, but why is Dalcio not getting a game? Okay, he didn't look that good in the first couple of games, but he could come in and do a turn. And I'm always sitting there thinking, do you honestly think that a manager who is under pressure, under intense pressure, has a winning player, has a guy who can come in and will change that all around for him, and has this weapon that he's watching Monday to Friday, and then come Saturday he goes, nah, fuck it, I'm just going to play Josh Windass? There's a reason that the boy hasn't made it into the team, and that is because he's not done enough in training to suggest that he should do. And we've heard reports that he was particularly, I'm sure you've all heard reports about rumours of senior players who didn't rate some of the signings, and I think Dalcio was the name mentioned significantly. But he is very, very, very raw. I mean, he's basically a youth team player from Benfica. Let's not forget that. And he's been sent out to gain experience. And the problem with the loan system is, unless you're taking somebody who is an established first teamer, who has been loaned out because he's dropped out of the first team but won't leave because he's in a good contract, and a club offers him out to get some of his wages off the wage bill, or just to get him out the dressing room because unhappy players, then they can come in and they can have a real serious impact for you. But when you're borrowing youth players, the idea is to let them go and make their mistakes away from the parent club, in much the same way that we let loan players to an athletic, etc. It's not because here's a fantastic player for you who will go and win matches for you. It's here's a guy that we hope in 2 or 3 years is going to be a player of a very high standard. Can you sand some of the rough edges off him and then deliver him back to us? And that's what Dalcio is with us. And we don't like it because it's our club, obviously. But that's the reason behind it. So I know. I don't see it.
We have, of course, we've been watching here so many years. That we're standards maybe go beyond reality. It's sometimes and there is there'll always be a large element of support. Looking for a finished article. It doesn't matter who we sign. Just get them in the team. They must be good. They're signing for Rangers, but it doesn't work out like that. We've all read football managers' books throughout the years. And you'll hear them time and time again saying, if I get 6 or 7 out of 10 right, then the club I'm at will be in a good place. And it just doesn't harm. Forrest got that same treatment. From about January onwards. How's he on the team? How's he not playing? There was an obvious answer to why he wasn't playing. The guy totally switched off. And once you're switched off, it's just virtually impossible to get somebody to switch back on again. I think.
I think it's fair enough. You look at that, there are people going, I understand why fans do it, mate, because they're like, I want us to be better. What can I do to make us better? Here's a player, and why don't we play him and he'll make us better? But it is just, as you say, kind of football manager, amateur psychology to try and believe that he's somehow going to be a better player. I don't think that's necessarily always the case. So a good win, and then, as you say, we go into the international break. Couple of things to touch on just before we wrap up then for today. Firstly, the under-20s team went to, or the younger squad went down to Brentford and gubbed them, and glowing reports coming out of Brentford down there. And I saw that there were some shout, but this came after a disappointing defeat to Leicester, so it maybe needs tempered. But there were some cries for Ryan Hardy that the time has come that he's sort of outgrowing that level, and it's time to pitch him into the first team squad. Now, you see more of these guys than I have, I'm being totally honest there. My opinion on Hardy from the brief time that I've seen him is that he looks quick, but a gust of wind would blow him over. And I don't know if physically he's capable of playing in a league where you're going to come across shed loads of experienced cart horses who might not be quick, but they know a way to slow you down. And that sometimes that experience will do them. You've seen a bit more than me. What's your take on Hardy? Should he be banging on the first team door?
I think you touched on it there. He is he's extremely quick. But apart from if the ball's not going over the head, he's bruising defenders, and Ryan's onto it, then he doesn't offer enough, if you like, Dave. And that's one of the things. That's one of the things. That Morelos has got. It's we've seen Morelos rolling. With some really experienced centre halves. In his first few weeks here. And he's got fantastic upper body strength. He's got goals. And that's a couple of attributes that unfortunately Ryan Hardy doesn't have. And it's and I think once you've been chapping on that door so often that, and you're getting a couple of loan spells here and there, that I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think so. Rangers, unfortunately, for Ryan Hardy, but it's good to see. It's good to see the boys getting these games, against Leicester, and the likes of Brentford, etc. And I think we've got to be fair here. It was Warburton, who was going on about that frequently for day one when he came to the club, about the boys getting games against better players than themselves, and that's the only way they would kind of learn, and to be fair, to say, he did start the ball rolling with us, he was certainly very vociferous about it, and taking nothing away from the likes of Graham Murty, who are doing a fantastic job, but I think it will stand us in good stead long term. And again, as I said, about Jamie Burjonis, and Boy Bates, and now we've got, of course, McCrory coming into the picture. It looks good, but again, it's going to start boiling down to the managers needing results. What's he going to do? Is he going to turn to the kids? Is he going to start blooding them? Bring them in and let them get a taste of it? Or is he just going to keep going tried and trusted until we get a decent level of consistency? But it'll be interesting to see how it pans out, over the coming weeks.
Your ability to gamble as a manager reduces, or your ability to try new things reduces as results don't work out for you, unfortunately. And he needs we all know he needs a run of games. It's the one thing I think everyone agrees on, is that we need a run of wins. We've got St Johnstone away, which will be tough, but is most certainly a winnable fixture, you would say, if we go out and play, if we play to the level we can. And I think that's probably the thing about this Rangers team. I don't think it's a million miles off being a decent team. I really don't. No. But at the moment, we're not good enough to drop below our top level pretty much against anybody at the moment. I think our top level is enough to beat certainly 10 of the 11 in that division, but if we drop even 10-15%, I think that allows other team enough leeway to capitalise on what are admitted weaknesses in our side and get results, even just draws or whatever, that aren't fair. And I think that they have to be utterly... We can't carry passengers, basically. We don't have a good enough side that 2 or 3 can have an off night. If that happens, we're not going to win the football match.
No, and we certainly can't be... we certainly can't afford to people getting sent off,
No.
leaving their teammates a man short. It's that's just not going to work. It's we know there's a passion there, and but people are just going to be a bit more clever, because as we discussed, these officials, for the want of a better word, will think, won't think twice about producing yellow and red cards,
No, absolutely.
And we just can't afford that. We start heading into this winter, and you've got 3 or 4 guys sitting in that stand under suspension, and
no, we can't carry that. we cannot.
We don't have a squad for that, mate.
Yeah, we do not. We cannot carry that. Okay, then last thing, just before we move on to kind of previewing why you were really here to talk about the Founders Trail, which will be, as I say, running next Monday. But before then, I just wanted to, or actually we'll be running on Friday. I do apologise, sorry, it'll be early in that. You're getting double Ian this week. Last thing rather, was the cancellation of the friendly against Benfica in Canada that was booked for this weekend. And organisers, first of all, blamed Benfica. Benfica then said that they had pulled out due to contractual obligations not being met around the money. The organisers then blamed the Rangers support in Canada for not buying enough tickets, and overall what's been left is Rangers, I believe, looking to find financial recompense for, obviously there were guarantees made to Rangers which avoided them taking other fixtures this weekend, which could have been possible, and it's now too late to address that. What's your understanding of the situation?
I think it's been an absolute shambles, from the offset. It's again, we just said, about the pain of this international break, and one thing we definitely needed this weekend was a game of football, which isn't going to happen now, but it just seems to have been an absolute mess since whoever lifted the phone to each other, in the offset, and it's and again, supporters, an absolute shocker.
No, those guys are booked to go to Canada, for Christ's sake, and
absolutely shocking, and I hope with this legal advice the club are now pursuing is going to lead to these guys being compensated, because you're not talking about a £25 ticket for Willie St Johnson here. It's these guys are forking out hundreds, if not thousands of pounds.
Yeah, flights, accommodation,
to follow the club. And again, it's just football supporters, mate. Just the last thought in anyone's mind.
Aye.
Is what it's going to cost punters. And it's just an absolute shocker.
I get incredibly fucked off by promoters in anything, be it music, be it sport, be it Harlem Globetrotters, whatever, who blame customers. I don't like any business who blame customers, but particularly in this, for not buying tickets. If you have done your research and you have done your marketing properly, then it will sell. And if it doesn't, it's because the promoter has fucked up at some point in the line. Either he hasn't done his market research, either he hasn't, or she hasn't done their, hasn't looked at the finances to make sure it could work, hasn't set a break-even level at a sensible place. And we see it time after time after time, happens a lot in boxing in particular, where unfortunately they blame customers for not buying the tickets, which is just, it's utterly ridiculous. If you own a cake shop and nobody wants to buy your cakes, then that's on you. It's not down to the you can't blame customers for not wanting something. And
no, that's right.
If they didn't have, and they didn't have a plan that told them that they could make money after paying Benfica and Rangers what they had offered to pay them, and that's the key thing here. Anyone I could make money if Benfica and Rangers will come and play in my back garden for free. It's that's the whole point of business. You have to create a deal that's advantageous to all three parties, and in this instance they haven't. And as you say, the fans are the ones who suffer. And I sincerely hope Rangers never do business with this organisation again, and anybody else in Scottish football never do business with this organisation again. Because
I most definitely, I can remember the question being asked, why isn't this game being played in Lisbon? We'd have been able to take 25,000 friendly. It's I played in London, I played down south somewhere. It's absolute madness. As you just say, it's just the paying customer the paying customer's probably had enough, and just said, no, what's going on here? There's that game kind of played in Britain or in Portugal, absolutely no problem at all. They got the players much needed game time, and we would have went in with thousands, and watched it. But it's just madness, absolute business madness, But you don't see customers in any other industry in the world, get treated the way,
get blamed,
such contempt,
Yeah, exactly. You didn't.
Football fans it's shocking.
It's just ridiculous. And as I say, I hope the club do take legal action. I hope they will win, and I hope that I hope that they succeed in it. So
all of us.
Just to wrap up then today, folks, just to tell you what's coming up now. Obviously, it is International Week, and we're going to put out the podcast with Iain on Friday. Now, Ian's going to talk us through the Founders Trail, which of course he set up a few years ago, and just give them a wee preview of that. Ian, tell the fans, for anyone who may not be aware of it, or don't think it's many, just what the Founders Trail is.
The Founders Trail is a guided bus tour around about the streets of Glasgow, where we tell not only the story of the kids who formed the club, but the subsequent years after, and the hardship and the struggle that they faced to get not only the club a foothold in Scottish football, which they managed to do, but then let the club grow. So we visit various locations. We make the journey. We follow in the footsteps of our founders, is a line we use often. And we essentially our story starts at Fleshers Hall. Got the story there, but then we across to Burnbank, Kinnan Park, and then into Ibrox Stadium. And we're following right at Glasgow in the footsteps of the guys that formed the club. And yeah, it's been extremely popular over the last few years, and it's continuing to grow. It's once people have had an understanding, that it isn't just about two guys, wee bit self-indulgence and going about Glasgow on a bus trip. It really has been through word of mouth. Certainly in the early years, but since the club changed hands, Davey, back in March 2015, we literally haven't looked back. The help that we've had from the clubs at all levels has been absolutely phenomenal. So it's we have been contacted with our clubs. So a couple of supporters at Liverpool contacted, asking what we're doing. Hearts have done much the same. Wanting to kind of tap in and how this came about. And that is novel. But it works. It gives people a wonderful insight. They see into the early years of the club. We also visit locations around about Glasgow without getting off the bus, where the guys lived, where they worked, where they settled when they first came into the city. Again, where they've played those first few games, and ultimately where a couple of them are laid to rest. Along Creighton Cemetery. So it's, there is a natural beginning and end to our story, which we're absolutely delighted to have seen grown over the last few years, mate.
Well, where can people who might want to look into this, especially before the next show, go online to find out more about it?
founderstrail.co.uk, and we have just this week launched our first batch of tour dates for 2018. Such as the popularity, we wouldn't normally do that until kind of about December time, but we literally haven't got a seat left on the tours this year, so we've had to get the first batch of tour dates together for next year, which is, of course, as we all know, extremely difficult to plan anything kind of about football. The fixtures are moved that often, and once again our poor paying customers are kind of getting shuttled about from time to time, but we do try and earmark, kind of games about when Rangers are at home, maybe to Dundee, Kilmarnock, Thistle, because they're rarely, if ever, moved for TV. So we can earmark those dates, and as I say, founderstrail.co.uk, and we've got our first batch of dates out for 2018, mate.
Fantastic. So that's pretty much it from us. A couple of bits of housekeeping though from myself. Now, it being International Week, next Monday your podcast will be one of my solo shows where you guys send me in the questions, and as usual, if I get enough questions I'll do it, if I don't I won't. So if you want to send us questions, it can be about anything, can be about the current situation, can be just about historical stuff, can be about my time with the Trust, any stories that you want to hear, that's fine. You just need to get in contact with us. You can do that on the Heartland Facebook page, which just search for Heart and Hand, the Rangers podcast, up will pop, leave your question there, or on Twitter, I'm at Ibrox Rocks, and the best way to do it though is rather than send it to me direct, just use the hashtag HHPod, that's HHPod, and then I'll ask questions, and next Monday delivered into your inbox will be the latest in the series of those. They're usually quite popular, and hopefully it will be here. The other thing is, to keep your eyes peeled, we'll be launching the Heart and Hand YouTube channel later this month, where you'll be able to find exclusive content, you'll be able to find after match discussions right pretty much after the match, and you'll be able to rubbish from me and Scott, all that sort of thing. So that's something to look forward to. All that remains for me to do is to thank our executive producer in London, Mr. Knightley, and Mr. Paul Myers. To thank my guest today, Mr. Iain McColl.
Thanks very much, David. It's been an absolute pleasure.
And to thank you all for listening. My name's David Edgar, and I will talk to you again on Friday. Bye.